Hello everybody and welcome back. Just currently going for a walk in a beautiful bungalow, and I wanted to share a really powerful story that is something that I experienced personally on my travels and was part of the many pivotal moments that helped me center myself in the work that I do and my mission, my purpose. And a lot of my own spiritual experiences and what felt like these deep initiations, they started during my 20s whilst I was traveling around the world. And there was one specific experience that I had in Pakistan. So I traveled to Pakistan in 2017. And the reasons why I traveled to Pakistan was quite random in itself. Just to be fully transparent, I actually did my first ever psychedelic experience with a group of friends, and my friend invited a couple of other people that was the first time that I was meeting. And upon meeting them, I told them a lot about the travels that I went on, and they told me that they like to travel too. And it was like, whoa, and we're on psychedelics, big experience, like, oh my God. But the next time I actually saw those guys, they told me that they were going to be going to Pakistan. And I didn't know much about Pakistan. And it was never really on my radar. I didn't really know much about what it looked like, the scenery, the landscape. But I was like, okay, Pakistan, like, what's making you guys want to go to Pakistan? One of my friends, he actually worked at like a bank in finance at the time and just hated his job. And he was walking past one of his co-workers that he barely knew on his computer screen, looking at all these beautiful, natural, scenic photos of mountains. And then my friend approaches him and he goes, oh my God, this is cool. My friend is actually into like photography. And then the guy looking at the photos said, this is Pakistan. This is my, homeland. And I really want to go and travel there, but everyone is too scared to travel with me there. So Pakistan, particularly the northern areas, which is where we went, it's on the list of countries that the government within Australia and a lot of other governments around the world will tell you not to travel to. It's dangerous, terrorism, Taliban, it's where Osama bin Laden was apparently found. And so there was a lot of fear around people going there. But this guy, he really wanted to go there. He grew up in Australia, but he's like, I want to go there, see my country. And do you want to come with me? He asked my friend. And my friend was like, just like hating his job. He's like not really doing anything with his life. He's just like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Told his friend, I saw both of them. They told me to come. We all went, 4 of us, to northern Pakistan. And there are a lot of stories and experiences that I had. It was a big initiation in itself going there. But it was literally our second day there in Pakistan when we were in Islamabad and we were in the markets and we were buying shawakamis, which are like, they're just like a traditional Pakistani male attire. And we were in the markets and a little girl approached us and she was a beggar. And I'd traveled prior to this, around Asia, South America, Middle East and Africa. And I've seen beggars before, child beggars. Very confronting, very hard to see it. At first, you don't know how to respond. It brings up a lot of guilt, shame, despair. You feel like numb, sadness. There are a lot of different feelings that come up. And by this stage, I've already, been semi-educated on what happens to a lot of these child beggars. And majority of them are pimped out by pimps who get them to go begging. And a lot of these beggars are oftentimes orphans, or they are sold through child trafficking, or they're even encouraged to do so by their parents and families. Essentially, their childhood is robbed because of the socioeconomic issues that they face within their country, because of the lack of protection for these children. By the way, I'm actually walking through a nectarine farm now. How cool is this? Wow. And they are pimped out to go begging, and they go around and work all day trying to get whatever money they can, and then they take it back to the pimp, and then the pimp gives them or their family a cut, or sometimes they even pay the children with drugs and they get them hooked on drugs, and then eventually when the children get a bit older, they get sold into prostitution. I mean, it's a very shadowy industry that I learned about through my travels, through local people, through guides, through my own research. So you can just like give them money and then they go away from you. But it's often not encouraged because it teaches the children to continue being in that system. And from a very helpless place, you know, there's always the question of, well, what can I do? You know, this is a massive shadowy industry. I'm just a traveler. Like, what can I really do? And hey, look, I've given money, I've given food, I've done that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But there was something specific about this little girl that it just touched me in a way where I really wanted to just see if I could give her something else that could potentially leave a bigger, more lasting imprint on her consciousness. And she was very adamant, she was very assertive in wanting money. I'm gonna start walking barefoot. This is absolutely beautiful here. Geez, I didn't expect it to be this nice here. What the hell is this? Sorry, what in heaven is this? So I was like, okay, I want to see if I can help her connect to her childhood in some way, because for a lot of these children, their childhood is robbed from them. And the archetype of the eternal child or the divine child, its essence is play, joy, wonder, love, and creativity. For a lot of children that grow up in survival, that essence is robbed from them, either by the society, the system, the culture that they live in, or it could just be the circumstances they're in, or, you know, a bit of both. And for many of us that have been on the healing journey and experienced some kind of wounding in childhood, a lot of the essence of that eternal child, divine child archetype switches offline. Therefore, it's something for us to reclaim later in life, to bring that energy back in of joy, play, wonder, even in our adult lives. And that's something that gives us a sense of youth and connection, and, you know, prevents life just being so rigid and serious and pessimistic and nihilistic. You know, we have the capacity to be able to experience those states of, you know, oneness, play, joy, creativity. So for this little girl, I just had like a deep intuitive sense that I wanted to try and support her in experiencing that in some way. So even though she was still very adamant of wanting money, I actually went to go buy some books, pencils, different coloring pencils, crayons, and I began drawing on them in the marketplace with her. And this whole thing went on for about half an hour or so, and I was really trying to capture her attention with the different things that I was drawing, with the energy, with the playfulness, with teaching her how to write in English. And she had this big wall up, and it was really just the programming that she's been taught and indoctrinated with. Be a beggar, be a beggar, be a beggar, go more hours of begging, more hours of begging. But I stayed persistent as well. A lot of patience, using a lot of my character, and through this kind of dance that I was going on with this little girl, she must have been around 7. A crowd started forming because everyone around, they know the system, they know what it's like, and everyone is just trying to survive. So, everyone probably feels a sense of guilt and like this isn't right, but the system is there, and in order to really change the system, it's gonna exceed far more than beyond just one individual person trying to change it. But we can all do our part in some way. We can all add some kind of ripple in the collective, and this is what all of us operating individually to support a healthy collective immune system, what it looks like. The crowd was forming, people were smiling, and then eventually there was like a pop moment. It's like the mask came off, and she actually began drawing. And here's the photo. And I could see her face light up. And she did not stop drawing. Did not stop. She sat down, she was drawing. Her face, this is a girl that isn't even going to school. Just begging all day. And it was just so beautiful seeing that switch online for her. And it brought a lot of tears to my eyes. And everyone around in the crowd, they were just so happy and smiling, and it was a moment where she had like permission to just be herself as a little girl. And the reason why I'm saying this story is because it's a big part of the work that I do. Because even though that we're all not that exact same story of the little girl in a marketplace who was a beggar, many of us, just like myself, we all had to orphan, exile parts of ourselves as a way to survive, be liked and accepted within the circumstances, culture, religion, society that we grew up in. And a lot of those roles still play out in our lives as adults, until we can be aware of them, we can see them, we can metabolize them, we can process the pain, the grief that's there, and we can create a space there to switch online the part of us that did get orphaned, suppressed and exiled, to bring more wholeness back in our system. And if you're watching this video now, at some level, you have the capacity, you have the faculty, you have the resources to do that. And unfortunately, not everyone does. Where this little girl is right now, I don't know. Has that specific experience had some kind of positive impact and effect on her in some way? I don't know. But she was my teacher in that moment. As much as I was trying to be hers, she was mine. And that moment is forever etched into my psyche, in my soul, in my body. And seeing how that little girl was able, just in that moment, to be herself, despite all the challenges that she faced in her little life, just gives me the certainty that we all can, in our own way, at our own time, and at our own pace. So, the question for you now is, what role are you still playing right now in your life that stems from survival? That stems from trying to meet your needs in some way when you were a little boy, when you were a little girl. And if you can identify, that's the first step. If you can bring awareness to it, if you can bring loving, curious awareness to it, that's the first step. Because from there, there's an opportunity for that part of your shadow to be healed, to be alchemized, and to become whole. So then you can embody more of your authenticity, more of your truth, more of who younger you wanted to be, instead of who they were taught to be. Thanks for listening to my story in a nectarine field. This is so fucking cool, man. If you're on this path and you want some support with this, on how to bring awareness to these parts of you, on how to heal them, integrate them, this is what I do inside the Shadow Mastery Institute. It's an online platform, supportive network of conscious people that are all going through shadow work together. I'll put a link below if you want to speak to a real person about if it's the right fit for you. You can share your story. Also, all my peoples in Sydney, surrounding areas, or if you want to come and be in Sydney while I'm there, on the 13th of December, I'm going to be doing a live shadow alchemy workshop where, we get to do this work in person for a day. I'll put a link for a ticket there below as well. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I really wanted to share this story. It's really, just an important part of my journey. There are many other stories that I'd like to share. As I'm doing YouTube now, these are all stories that, put it this way, as I'm going to be traveling, there's going to be a lot of new stories that are going to be coming up. But I want to play a bit of catch up on some of the most powerful stories and experiences that I've already been through and share the wisdom that I've got from them. But as time progresses and new stories form along this new stage of my travels, I will be continuing to share them too. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below of how you found this story. I look forward to catching up with you next time. Peace.